What is up, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're looking at the Veymax Merlin, and I've got a lot to say about this board, and it's all good. And when I say it's all good based on its price. I just want to remind everybody, when I give you my opinion on these boards, I'm not comparing apples to oranges, I'm comparing apples to apples. And some boards cost $600 and some boards cost $5,000. Obviously the $5,000 boards, we hold a much stronger magnifying glass up to them. We expect a lot more. We compare them to a lot more competitors. When you get boards like this, the Veymax Merlin, at just over $600, it is insanely good value. And I'll tell you why, and I think you'll be surprised, unless you've already seen the videos, I think you'll be really surprised at the specs and the power and the performance it packs in. So the first thing to comment on, and probably the biggest deal about this board, is its weight. It comes in at 8.5 kilos or 18.9 pounds. So it's a good lightweight board. I know it's not the lightest one out there, but at 8.5 kilos, it's very, very manageable no matter who you are. It's got a really, really nice deck construction. It consists of bamboo, maple, and fiberglass. And it can take a really heavy rider, like 300 pounds. So that's well up there in board load limits. Okay, now while we're talking about the deck, let's talk about the shape and the flex. The shape is, I would say, very, very flat. It has a little bit of concave here. You can probably see the shadows in the wings, toe heel. Very, very minimal, absolutely no W concave. It is a very basic shape with just a little bit of flex. I would personally like to see it just a tiny bit more, but it's still very comfortable and still very maneuverable. As far as the flex, because it's got that Canadian maple in there, it's, I would say, medium stiff. Let's have a look. So it's certainly not jumping around like a tiny Ultra, but it's got enough there to absorb the rattles of your road. Now, as far as the electronics, this is where the board really surprised me. Again, value for money. It has the latest, what do you call it? It has the latest FOC Lingy ESC. Now it's the 8th generation. Now, for you guys and girls who might be new to e-skate, Lingy used to be sort of the ugly cousin, if that makes sense, compared to Hobbywing. But Lingy is really up their game. So we're on the 8th generation of their FOC version. So field orientation control. So very smooth, very predictable, and it has really nice power. See that bite? It really does surprise you. It's feeding off a 12S2P Samsung 50S cell pack. So that's 10 amp hours, 432 watt hours, I think. If that's wrong, I'll fix it here. So what they've done is they've put the best electronics they can by keeping the price down. Hobbywing would have been nice, but not necessary these days. Like I said, that's the standard remote. Really simple, adjustable brakes, USB-C charging, good bite for a beginner, entry-level, intermediate, secondary board even. Has such a nice carve that any more power, I feel, would just be not wasted, but really lost, because the way it currently rides, it's really nice. let's take a look underneath the board and I'll show you again the quality components that they're using. All right, here is the underbelly of the Veymax Merlin. Battery enclosure, really nice shape, really different. Has all the battery specs on the front there, which is kind of cool. It has a premium feel to it. Here is your charge port cover, like I was telling you about. Has a nice little thing you can grab to open up. Really nice and simple there. 3 bolts, simple. You've got your barrel and barrel with your cupped washer on the front and rear. Not sure on the durometer. I don't think it says it. It might be on the website. I'll have to double check. Really, really interesting ESC enclosure. Loads of heat fins there to dissipate that heat. Coming to the back here are these nice RKP trucks, front and rear. These are just forged, I believe. There are those nose and tail covers. And here are these what do they call them? Cozy wheels, the 105s. Again, highly recommend you get these at the checkout. The actual design on the deck is really simple, has a bit of a Tron vibe to it with some angles, the name. Yeah, just simple, clean electric skateboard. If we flip it over, there's your graphics on top. The graphic continues with the angles and the lines. It has a nice little arrow at the front here so you know which is the front of the board. So if you're a beginner, you don't make yourself look like a fool and go flying off backwards. Yeah, it's just a non-intrusive electric skateboard. I do legitimately like it. I'll tell you one thing it does give me. It gives me massive Lycon Swift vibes. Does anybody remember the Lycon Swift? This reminds me so much of that. The next thing we have to talk about, just revisit, is the trucks and the bushings, because it is a really controlled carve on the Veymax Merlin. They're using an 8-inch truck with a 45-degree base plate, and when you can combine all those things, you get a really, really controlled ride, but you can still have a lot of fun. Now this is standard out of the box, so it's probably a little bit tight, but for an RKP 45-degree base plate, you know, you can carve as much as you want to or can do, and then you can accelerate, and there's just no, you don't really need to worry about speed wobbles, unless you hit something, of course, or you're still learning. But it just comes back to the theme of this board. You know, it's designed for the new rider, the intermediate rider, the secondary board, so that you can just grab and ride and not have to think about how have I got it set up, what bushings have I got in it, all that sort of thing. Sorry, that was a bit steep. Really nice job, really controlled board. Now, we're gonna keep riding. We're almost at the end, and I'm gonna give you 2 opportunities for this board, 2 things that would take this board from really good to great, and it's really minor, super, super minor, probably about 25 bucks worth of parts, but let me explain. We are almost at the end of this first look at the Veymax Merlin. Like I said, there's a couple of small little things that I would adjust at the factory. The first one is the bearing spacers. They are like a millimeter too small, and this results in a little bit of a rattle from the back wheel. It's not the end of the world, but it is kind of annoying. I always recommend the bearings that have the built-in spacers. Obviously on a budget board or a cost affordable board, you have to watch your parts. But if they can get a slightly bigger spacer, it's going to make the board a lot more enjoyable to ride, especially in quiet areas, because that rattle can get a little bit annoying. The other thing I would recommend, and this is an optional extra, is if when you buy these cozy wheels, these big 105s, the belts they sell with them are a little bit small, so there's no real adjustment. So I've got it adjusted as much as I can, and the belts are still tight resulting in that noise you've probably heard throughout the video. I would love to have like an extra, I don't know, I think it's 260 belts. Maybe if that'll put 265s in, that would allow you to adjust it and have the correct belt tension. But honestly, that is it. For 630 bucks or something, this is a very, very well-made electric skateboard. A good power, climbs hills, good battery, good cells, good ESC. You know, you've got maple, bamboo, fiberglass in the deck. You've got that 105 wheel option. I don't know, front and rear bumpers, nice enclosures. The board manufacturers are doing a lot more with a lot less these days as far as money spent. And I think if you are looking for your first e-skate, this has to be on the list because, like I said, at the mid 650s, 630s, whatever it is, it's kind of hard to beat. There's lots of other brands out there offering, you know, really good entry-level boards, but this one really does grab your attention with those 50S cells, the 105 wheels, and just that really comfortable deck. But that brings us to the end of the video, so thank you so much for watching. As always, comments, questions, chuck them down below. If you are considering or thinking about getting a Veymax board, don't forget to use Scott D at checkout. It ensures you get the best price possible and it helps to support the channel. So if you choose to use it, thank you very much. I think that's it. So ride safe, wear a helmet, and we'll see you in the next video.